So I recently found a rip-off movie mockbuster of Avatar called Avatar, which came out in 2023, and I wanted to talk to you guys about it. I think I should give you a spoiler
Warning.
about Avatar, obviously, because I am going to talk about it. And I feel like I should also give you a spoiler
Warning.
about Star Wars, if you're going to watch it. And I would give you a spoiler
Warning. Oh my god, what is wrong with me?
about Avatar, but I would suggest you do not watch that. Watch this video instead.
Welcome to my channel.
I sort of feel weird because my hands are very empty, so I'm gonna pretend that this tiny perfume bottle is a mic. I've never seen any rip-off movies, but I've always wanted to see one. And then I came across this poster. Yeah, that's a duck. And I just had to come over here and talk about it because it's an incredible piece of fiction. I'm just kidding, it's terrible. But if you don't know what rip-off movies are, I'll tell you. A rip-off movie refers to a low-budget film that closely imitates a popular blockbuster movie, often released around the same time to capitalize on the hype of the original, essentially ripping off its plot. So basically, if there is a super popular movie, someone's going to make a very similar concept about it so that when other people are like, oh my god, is this the movie that you were talking about? And they accidentally watch the rip-off movies and they're left super confused, like, what the did I just watch? And that's how these rip-off movies make money. Before I start talking about this incredible movie, I wanted to see who the director was, and Amazon Prime showed that his name was Alan Smithy. So I did some research and I found something really interesting. Alan Smithy does not exist. So basically, when a director feels like they weren't given enough creative liberty to film the movie the way they wanted to, they would go to the Directors Guild of America and request them to credit this movie under the name of Alan Smithy, which is a completely fake person. This started in 1968, I think, and it was discontinued in the year 2000. And nobody has used it since. Well, nobody in Hollywood who comes under Directors Guild of America. But this movie is Italian, therefore it can use Alan Smithy. I could barely pay attention to that because yeah. So our movie starts literally in space, and the spaceship is traveling light years throughout the galaxy, and we see our main antagonist. I don't remember his name, but I think he's supposed to parody Darth Vader, and the rest are stormtroopers. It's kind of a mix between Avatar and Star Wars. Sort of. Now these ducks are in search of a new nest, aka a new planet. Why? Because they destroyed their own planet to the point of no return, and now they packed up all of their shit, went to the spaceship, and now they're trying to find a different planet to destroy. They have already spotted Earth and they are already planning to invade it. Why? You ask, why specifically Earth? Is it because of the habitable environment, the water, humans, and machines, infrastructure? No, none of those reasons. The reason why they want to invade Earth is because the Earth has apples. Yeah, apples. In the first scene itself, there is this dialogue. They are invading a planet for apples. Does Ryuk rule them? Is that him under the mask? Because so many options you had to invade Earth and you chose Apple. I see you, Ryuk. I see what you're trying to do, okay? The Duck Vader and the Emperor Quack. Yep, that's his name. They're having a conversation. And this conversation pisses me off even more because it confuses me even more. Duck Vader tells Emperor Quack that the Earth is full of apples, and Emperor Quack says, you're telling me that an advanced race of ducks that can build a spaceship large enough to carry their entire population, because according to them, they have destroyed their own planet and now they are finding a different one, and you cannot figure out how to grow a tree.
Oh my god, bro.
Oh, hell no, man.
And if that's not enough, you're telling me that apples are going to be enough to cover up your entire planet's losses? What about the gold and silver and money? Well, money doesn't have any value outside of Earth. But you're telling me that apples do? Apples. For sure this is Ryuk. For sure. That's the only explanation. This whole invasion of planet is just an excuse to get as many apples as he wants. Oh yeah, we haven't even started this story yet. Let's continue. So, the princess, which is the main female character of the duck people, Princess Avia. I don't like the fact that her name is similar to mine. I hate it so much. She volunteers to go down there alone, and instead of forcefully invading the earth like they initially planned to, she could go down there and try to convince peacefully to humans to share their planet with us. And Duck Vader, he does not like this plan at all. But the thing about Duck Vader is that I don't even understand why he's the villain. Like, I've never seen Star Wars, but Darth Vader has a reason to be a villain. Every villain has a reason to be a villain. Like, he must have some sort of motivation, right? Whether it is to serve the Emperor or his desire for vengeance.
The circle is now complete. When I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master.
Something. But this Duck Vader, he has no backstory, nothing. He is just a blank slate, this guy. And Duck Vader keeps doing evil things throughout the movie, but again, for what reason? You cannot be evil just to be evil. I mean, yes, he does seem to have a desire for power, which, oh, like every evil person does. Big shocker. You're in a movie, serve a purpose, dude. Every time this Duck Vader is on screen, he keeps doing evil things like picks up the princess' spaceship before she could hit the ground, then tortures Quaxton multiple times, who by the way is the only character I like in this entire godforsaken movie. And he scares a poor worker so bad that he lays an egg out of fear. No, seriously. And also, he doesn't quack like the other ducks. He just makes a very weird sound. Anyway, I hate Duck Vader. As a written character, like you should hate him anyway. So the princess has reached the earth despite her father's objections, where a meeting is taking place. And there's a caveman, literally. I cannot tell what era this is. So this leader, the mayor of the town, is just auctioning a woman. This movie came out in 2023, by the way. I just want you to know that.
Sacco di farina, 3 aggiudicato a Zippè. Complimenti, complimenti.
Right. And in this movie, it's not Earth that they land on. It's a planet called Pandoro. Pandono, right, sorry. During their wanderings in space, they land on Pandono, a place where living beings and nature have found a strange balance. Balance, dude? One person is just auctioning off the other. Balance? Really? Hey, that doesn't make sense. So when they say living beings and nature have found their balance, that means they are sort of imagining a resolved earth, a better earth. I don't think auctioning and selling humans should be considered as a part of balance, any balance, which is a very weird detail even for it to be in a movie, because this doesn't serve any purpose in the plot of the movie. There is no reason or logic to it. It doesn't matter if this detail was in the movie or if it was not in the movie. The entire movie would still be garbage. So, it is this scene where we meet the main male character of this movie called Germano, where he's trying to convince the people that Pandoro is not flat, it's hemispherical.
Hemisferico.
Again, what era is this? So he gets beat up for no reason and blah blah blah. It's so boring. Fast forward. At some point, the mayor says feelings don't make civilization advance, which is a crazy thing to say with a caveman in the shot. So at some point, Germano is just wandering aimlessly because the entire town hates him so much. So he gets super depressed and he prays to the spirit of Pandoro. Pandono. It's Pandono. I keep forgetting. He prays to the spirit of Pandono for a companion. And guess who the companion is going to be? I'm sure you will never be able to guess. Yeah, it's her. He sees the space capsule, which is, by the way, an egg, crash on the earth. I forgot about this part. This is a funny detail to add. So Germano gives her a change of clothes and they go outside and he just starts to, out of the blue, trauma dump on her. And this is her reaction.
È scappata con un abitante di Missi che mi ha lasciato crescere da solo. Dopo 2 settimane sono ancora qui, in piedi.
They're walking, they're talking, well, he's talking, and they just go to the town, watch people auction off a caveman, you know, the usual Pandoro stuff. And all the while, the princess's human body is slowly melting. The princess has this small device where she keeps, updating everyone that, hey, this is what happened in her quack language. And the emperor finds out that her human disguise is slowly melting and he loses his mind. So they decide on a rescue mission to bring Princess Avia back. Which, again, I don't understand. The Princess Avia was supposed to go on Pandoro for 2 weeks and then come back. And this suit was designed to last for at least 2 weeks. But for some reason that they do not explain, the disguise starts to melt faster. Why? The duck waiter is just standing there looking at Pandoro talking out loud to himself about his evil plan to kill Emperor and Princess and make it look like an accident, which Quaxton overhears. So he kills him. He killed the only interesting character in this entire movie. Back on Pandoro, a caveman sees Princess's blue feather and tries to tell the mayor about her. But he can't because he's a caveman. And so the mayor kisses him? No, really. What is this movie? Apparently, when you kiss someone on Pandoro, you can see their memories. So wait, do they all have these powers? Do they have any other powers? How did they get this power? Why do they have this power? Why can't a caveman talk when there are other evolved humans walking around? Questions. So little time. This power is just another just random thing to add out of nowhere. But I think this power was supposed to represent the tail connection that avatars have, the people of Pandora. I'm actually gonna lose my mind watching this stupid movie. Now, somewhere in the jungle, Germano and the princess are again just walking and falling in love, and there is a song. Which, look, I'm not criticizing the fact that there is a song in the movie. It's a good song. I mean, it's okay. It's fine. And who am I to criticize a song inside a movie when I grew up watching Bollywood movie? I'm basically used to watching a full-fledged music video right in the middle of movies. But the fact that bugs me is that the main characters of the movie have zero chemistry with each other. Absolutely no chemistry. Which makes everything, again, so boring. Now, because of this blue feather, the village people decide to visit them because now they're kind of suspicious of this new girl in town and what secret she might be hiding. And their conclusion, the fact that she's a witch. So, the mayor asks Germano to sell her to him. No, really.
Sì, la vendi, la compro io. Ma
Again, this movie came out in 2023. There was no reason for this detail to be in this movie. I know that this is like a mixture of era. I mean, there are little cavemen here. So, I mean, did you have to? It is a fictional planet. Like, you could have not added that. Then they both go out to the woods. Again, the princess sees the roasted duck that the mayor brought them, and she gets sad. Reasonably so. I mean, that's her own species, a different type of species, a more unevolved species. Oh my god, are ducks of Earth the cavemen of Pandoro? I'm asking the real questions here, okay? So they both go to the woods to bury that duck that the mayor brought, and she prays for the duck's soul. You know how Naitiri prays for that dog's soul in one scene.
Oh, grande spirito di Pandoro.
I don't know how they stayed in character. Back in town, there is a new head of security being named, and these people from the neighboring town called the Messicians, who are also their enemies, which it doesn't make sense because they're supposed to be a balanced world come over, because Mayor thought that it was a witch and they're gonna need some help. And obviously, the musician leader does not believe him because they're enemies. And the mayor, yet again, tries to kiss the leader of musicians, to show him your memories. To which the leader of musicians stops him and says this.
Senza un invito a cena degno di essere chiamato tale e senza una bella passeggiata romantica non ce n'è baci. I baci vanno guadagnati e non regalati.
So beautiful. Probably the only sensible thing I've heard in this entire movie. And also, even if he did see his movies, what good is that going to do? There is no proof that she's a witch. All you know is a blue feather. That too, you didn't found him. The caveman did. That's someone else's memory. Nothing in this movie makes sense. So Princess Avia kisses Germano to show her she is in fact a duck princess, and Germano sees her spaceship and they shag. And the duo comes back to the village for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe to find parts to repair for the ship. But what the hell are they going to find? This village is like 1 billion years old. Not 1 billion, that was an exaggeration. But they're not going to find. There is no advanced technology in this village. Princess Avia is on her own. And obviously the villagers ambush them. They start to throw eggs at Germano. And for the rest of the movie, we don't see musicians again. So why are they even here? Did they need help to throw eggs? And Germano gives this big speech about how we should treat each other and be kind and nice, because apparently even in an alternate universe, we're still fighting for human rights. Obviously, after hearing this speech, the villagers laugh at him, as you do. The princess catches an egg in her hand and screams. And that is enough for them to run away. We're almost at the end. They run into the Duck, Vader, and Emperor because now they're on Pandoro to, rescue the princess. And Finn, hold on. Princess came down alone to see if she can peacefully convince the people on Earth to share their planet. But she hasn't done that. She has not even attempted. She hasn't even tried. She probably didn't even think about it. In fact, they go above and beyond to hide the fact that she's different from others, to hide her identity. So, why did she even come down in the first place? This girl cannot protect herself. She could not even protect Germano from the egg side. She was just silently standing beside him as he just ate eggs from the entire village. So why did she come down there? Did she not think that there is a chance that things might go wrong? That people might say no or be even flabbergasted at the fact that she's an alien? So the mayor is dead. He literally got evaporated by one bullet in seconds. And obviously, the town people are now devastated. And their solution is to run into battle. Even after they saw what happened to the mayor, do these people think they're invincible or something? But don't worry, Germano is here to save the day yet again. He prevents the entire battle by making one groundbreaking point.
Fermi, non abbiamo il budget per fare la battaglia.
That's a good point, Germano. Did they also not have any budget for writers? I want to talk about this. They broke the fourth wall by addressing the fact that this is in fact a movie by making this dialogue, which was really funny. It did take out some of the secondhand embarrassment I was feeling watching this movie, but then they immediately pissed me off by making me ask yet another question. The Darth Vader gives the humans two options, and then he immediately betrays the Emperor by relieving him of his title. Can he do that? What powers does he have? Can Darth Vader do that? Of course not. He shouldn't be able to, right? Because Emperor, Emperor has the power over Darth Vader, right? Like he's supposed. I'm just going to make sure. Still, I haven't seen Star Wars, so I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Darth Vader could not simply. Yeah, obviously. So what the hell is this? Can you imagine if people could just relieve kings and queens of their title? I mean, I know people altogether can try to do that. Like if the kingdom itself doesn't want this king. Maybe. I mean, there have been really horrible kings and queens in our real history. But even then, people couldn't be like, hey, you're no longer a queen. Get out. No, that person is going to have his head cut off. So the Darth Vader tries to shoot the village people, and the crazy lady throws an apple at his head. Yeah, can you believe it? An apple, out of all things, was the thing that caused his doom. But oh no, the bullet accidentally hits Germano. Wait a minute. Why didn't he turn to dust? The mayor turned to dust in seconds, but Germano just falls to the ground. Why? And then a crazy thing happens. They break the fourth wall again in the span of 5 minutes. I mean, it was okay before, because it was unexpected, and now it just feels weird. The beauty of the fourth wall break is the fact that it's sort of unexpected. You don't see it coming. When you're viewing a movie, you're completely immersed into the timeline. You're so focused on the character and the plot of the movie that when they do something that makes you aware that, hey, you're watching a movie, it catches you off guard. It sometimes makes you a little uncomfortable, but sometimes it can also bring you into the movie universe. For example, if you have seen Urmila Matondkar's Con movie, the fourth wall break in the end was insane. She slowly looks into the camera and her entire vibe changed.
Oh, chills. Literal chills.
It sort of gave you the feel that, oh my god, what if the next time I look into my doorbell camera and I just see her looking right back at me? It brings you into the universe. It scares you even more. But that is an example of a horror movie. There are many great examples of fourth wall break in a comedy genre. One of them being...
Try here. Stand.
What the hell am I looking at? When does this happen in the movie?
Now. You're looking at now, sir. Everything that happens now is happening now.
What happened to then?
We passed then.
When?
Just now. We're at now.
Go back to then.
When?
Now.
Now?
Now.
I can't.
Why?
We missed it.
When?
Just now.
In this, the first one was good. It was a job well done. And it served some sort of purpose, like it stopped the battle, you know? But the second one was insane because one, it wasn't needed whatsoever, and two, they did it back to back. Like, you don't need that. You just need once sometime. Anyways, Germano lays back on the ground, dying, and the only way to save him is That's right. Turn him into a duck and doom him for eternity into shitting eggs. Well, that was Avatar. Did you like it? Do you have any questions? Because you're not gonna get any answers. If I could sum up the entire movie into one word, that word would be why. Why did anything happen the way it did? So I knew I wanted to watch a rip-off movie. I didn't know which one. When I came across Avatar and I saw this review. Quack, 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 quack. I couldn't have said it better myself. Anyways, that's all I wanted to say. Bye!